Hi Richard, it's nice to see you down here at the Ledbury today.
Great to see you, Becky.
Richard, you've just been appointed the new UK chair for the World's 50 Best Restaurant Awards. What does that mean to you?
Well, I consider it a great honour to be offered this job, chairing the UK and Ireland panel for the Restaurant Awards, because it's so important. I mean, internationally, and I'm British, obviously, and in Britain, there's a lot of interest in these awards. So it's great to have the chance to contribute and pick some good people to name the best restaurants.
So what exactly will you be doing as part of your new role?
Well, the panel for each country, for the UK and Ireland in this case, is made up of restaurateurs, journalists, chefs, those kinds of people. My job is to help pick the panel, which I think is really key, because I'm very keen to get people in who have got a passion for restaurants, obviously, who travel, who have the knowledge and the enthusiasm. So, it's just difficult because there's so many people I'd like to pick, and each year we rotate about, give or take, 10 people, so it's quite a small number to choose.
How would you say the UK restaurant scene compares to its global counterparts?
I'm British. I remember when the UK restaurants were so terrible in the 60s and 70s and 80s, when all we seemed to have them was Chinese food or Indian food or steaks, or chicken in a basket I used to like as a child. So now to be in London when it's so vibrant is quite exciting for me. I lived in Hong Kong for 10 years, or 12 years actually, 83 to 95. And when I came back to London in 95, the restaurant scene was already hopping. And in the past 12, 13 years, 15, 16 even, it's taken off. So I can go to any city in the world, New York, Paris, and I love the restaurants there. I'm not criticising those cities, but I feel London stands comparison with anywhere in the world now. And in terms of innovation, it's ahead of most cities.
This year the UK had 4 restaurants on the list, the Fat Duck, the Ledbury, Hibiscus and St John, but how can you ensure that the UK is better represented in years to come?
Yeah, I'm British, so I'm very keen to see more British restaurants on the list than London restaurants. But that's not really my job. The aim of the list is to get the best restaurants in the world. And just looking at the list for myself, I see, I'd like to see more Asian restaurants on there, for example. I think to get more London, more UK restaurants on the list, really it's up to chefs and restaurateurs. If the restaurants are great, they will go on the list. And I can see 1 or 2 that have opened in the past year that I hope will be there, but it's not necessarily my job to get them onto there.
There are a lot of UK restaurants that arguably should be on the list but aren't. What advice would you give to those restaurants to try and get on it?
It's quite frustrating for some chefs outside London that they can't get their restaurants on the list, and it's a simple fact that most of the voters are based in London or they're based overseas and come to London and don't get to those restaurants, which I think it's such a pity, because you get a restaurant such as Long Clume, which is a world-class restaurant, and it's not on that list. So I think chefs just have to be patient, and when the buzz builds, as it obviously did about places like the Fat Duck, then try to get on there. But otherwise, to some extent, they have to accept that the concentration of the restaurants will be in London that are on the list, I think.
Do you think the judging process could be improved anyway at all?
I think it's a concern for everyone involved in the world's 50 best that we should get the best list, and it needs improving. For me, there are gaps in the world. Asia, very underrepresented. Japan in particular, which has amazing restaurants. It's very difficult because, for example, in Japan, people might have a favourite sushi restaurant or a favourite restaurant of another kind and don't really think in terms of what's the best overall. My feeling, just having followed the world's 50 best for years, is that each year improvements have been made gradually, and we'll continue to do that. But it's slow, because there's never really a best restaurant. It's restaurants people appreciate, and it takes time.
So how do you feel about filling Jay Rayner's shoes in the role of UK chair?
Well, Jay's quite a big figure in the restaurant business. He's quite a big figure in many ways, and I'm an admirer of his. So when I was asked to do this, I was quite flattered and thought those are difficult shoes to fill. But all I can do is do my best, and at least I've got the enthusiasm, and I'm a great believer in the world's 50 best. I have been for years, before I got this job. So I hope I can do as good a job as Jay did.
Richard, what do you see in the future for the World's 50 Best Restaurants Awards?
I mean, each year it seems to be the interest in the list is growing. About 5 years ago, there was a lot of interest. 3 or 4 years ago, I was just found it extraordinary. And now you go along to the awards announcement and so on, the room's packed, news organisations from around the world. I just see it getting bigger and bigger. People like lists of best restaurants, and as people become more interested and involved in food as well, I see this growing in importance.
Thanks very much, Richard. It's nice to see you.
Thanks, Becky.